There is now a Chinese invasion of the homeland. Biden knows this. His administration knows this. They're ignoring this, and they are allowing this to happen because we know that China owns Biden. That's why when they have all these spy balloons going over the military base, our government does absolutely nothing about it and downplays it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this wild, scary, crazy news. The jungle is filled with Chinese marching to America, said war correspondent Michael Yan to Gatestone. Chinese migrants are entering the United States on foot at the southern border. And that's another reason why the border is wide open. Almost all are desperate, seeking a better life for themselves and their children. Some, however, are coming to commit acts of sabotage. China is in a state of distress. Gloom pervades Chinese society. Chinese by the hundreds are now patiently waiting for visas in sweltering heat and lines at U.S. consulates in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. Many, however, are short circuiting the long waits at the consulates. At the southern border, Chinese migrants are entering the United States in unprecedented numbers. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports that the number of apprehensions of Chinese migrants in the first 5 months of the current federal fiscal year was more than double that of that during all of last fiscal year. The 8,000 Chinese migrants apprehended this calendar year are more than quadruple the number apprehended in the comparable period a year ago. Chinese nationals are flying to Ecuador, which permits them to enter visa-free. They then make their way to the southern edge of the Darien Gap, about 66 miles of jungle separating Colombia and Panama. The migrants cross the natural barrier on foot, and once safely on the north side, continue the journey to America, and often by bus. And the question is, who's funding these buses? Some Chinese migrants are poor. Many, however, are middle class. They can afford to pay $35,000 each to Mexican cartels to be smuggled into America. Quote, "It's like an animal stampede before an earthquake," said Sam, a Chinese migrant who crossed into America first in February at Brownsville, Texas, to Axios. Some migrants are almost certainly members of China's People's Liberation Army, or PLA. Representative Mark Green from Tennessee, Republican from Tennessee, chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, said at a press conference on the 14th of this month that a Border Patrol sector chief informed him that some of the Chinese migrants at the southern border have, quote, known ties to PLA. Quote, "We have no idea who these people are, and it's very likely using Russia's template of sending military personnel into Ukraine. China is doing the same into the United States," said Green. These military-linked migrants, despite their affiliations, have been released into America. Why is Biden doing this? Again, we know the answer to that. China owns our president. There is no question that China's PLA is inserting saboteurs through Mexico. Quote, "At the Darien Gap, I have seen countless packs of Chinese males of military age, unattached to family groups and pretending not to understand English," said Yan, the war correspondent. They were all headed to the American border. Quote, "Normally in groups of 5 to 15, they typically emerge from the Darien Gap and spend one night in the U.S.-funded San Vicente camp or next door in the Tennessee Hotel before boarding luxury buses for the trip up Highway 1 towards Costa Rica," Yan reports. Yan goes on to say, "One group of 6 young men bought a chicken at the Tennessee Hotel, drank its blood from small glasses, then cooked the chicken themselves in the hotel restaurant. I mean, this is crazy. According to the hotel manager, drinking raw chicken blood is a right among some PLA soldiers. So this makes sense. So this is more evidence that they are actually PLA soldiers. Once here, the military fighters can link up with China's agents already in place over Chinese diplomats. How many of the PLA fighters have slipped into the United States this way? Some estimate 5,000, others 10,000. Those numbers sound high, but whatever the actual figure, more are coming. These are China's shock troops. The concern is that on the first day of war in Asia, they will take down America's power lines, poison water reservoirs, assassinate officials, start wildfires, spread pathogens, and create terror by bombing shopping malls and supermarkets. The saboteurs will almost certainly attack American military bases. China has already been probing sensitive installations. Chinese agents posing as tourists have, for instance, intruded into bases, including the Army's Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks, Alaska. I was stationed out there in Alaska when I was in the Air Force, not too far away from Fort Wainwright. I was at Allison Air Force Base. My daughter was actually born at that Army base at Fort Wainwright. But there, the suspect Chinese agents drove past a base gate and were later apprehended with the drone inside their car. Quote, ancient Chinese strategists prized the use of subterfuge and surprise to achieve victory. And the two PLA colonels who wrote Unrestricted Warfare in 1999 were full of praise for the tactics of Osama bin Laden. Richard Fisher of International Assessment and Strategy Center told Gatestone. Quote, when the Chinese Communist Party starts its war against Taiwan and the United States, Americans should expect that Chinese sleeper agents now in America will hit targets like gas stations, and military-age Chinese now cross our border will be mobilized for assassination attacks and assaults on U.S. military bases. Therefore, the next war in Asia will almost certainly be fought on U.S. soil, perhaps on its first day. Unsuspecting Americans will be in the fight and unprepared. We need to get the word out about this. But immigrants make countries strong, and almost all the Chinese migrants crossing the southern border will contribute to American society. Some, the legal ones, I should say. But some, however, are coming to wage war on the United States, and that's why the border is wide open. We know that terrorists are coming over the border. We know that these Chinese PLA troops are coming in, and our president is sitting on his hands, allowing this to happen because he's so afraid that China will release all the dirt that they have on him, and it'd be actual proof to lock him and his family up. So he's going to allow this to happen. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.